Today, we're jumping into a story that doesn't start with some grand revelation, but actually begins in the darkest corner of human despair. We're looking at the prologue to Immortal Talks, which is really a journey that starts with this intense personal crisis and then spirals into a spiritual quest that is just unbelievable.
So, before we really get into it, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen something that you just couldn't explain? Something that completely defied logic and made you question, everything you thought was real? Just hold on to that feeling, because it's right at the heart of the story we're about to unpack.
Okay, so our story starts with a man named Hanudas, but we don't meet him at his best. We meet him at his absolute lowest, in the depths of a grief so complete that it's basically hollowed him out. Yeah, imagine a sadness so powerful it doesn't just break your heart, it just scoops everything out. The text describes him as being like a hoop, which lets things pass through it. There's no pain, no regret, just this vast, strange emptiness. It's like he buried his entire self in the grave right along with his son.
And this line here, which is actually spoken by one of his companions years later in the jungle, it just perfectly captures the state he's been living in. It reflects a life that has totally lost its meaning, where every single day is just another one to get through. And what's so fascinating is, when you look at the life he had before all this happened, he was completely caught up in this high-flying Toronto lifestyle, always scheming, always competing, trying to keep up with everyone else. His mind was just this nonstop battlefield of likes and dislikes, all while he was also dealing with the awful torment of his son's severe mental illness. His life was just noise, total chaos inside and out. So it's right there, in that state of complete emptiness, this quiet void where his old life used to be, that something impossible breaks through. His entire reality is about to get shattered. So he's driving back from his son's funeral, just staring out the window, and he sees it, something that cannot be real. He actually yells out, "Bigfoot, magical, flying monkey!" It's this giant, hairy figure just hovering horizontally over the car next to them. It's a sight so bizarre, his mind literally can't find the words for it. He points, he tries to show his brother, but his brother sees absolutely nothing. And his immediate logical reply is that Hanudas must be hallucinating, that the grief is making him go mad. And that denial, well, it just makes the confusion 1,000 times worse. Was it real, or was his mind finally breaking apart? And this is the question that just hangs in the air. Hanudas is now completely alone with this impossible memory. When he looks back, the figure is gone, but there's a small saffron flag fluttering on the roof of the other car. A tiny physical piece of evidence that something extraordinary did, in fact, just happen. For months, Hanudas is just wrestling with this. Was he losing his mind? Or did he actually see something real? He finally gets an answer and a whole new direction in life from a spiritual mentor named Guru Deva.
And Guru Deva? He doesn't dismiss him. He doesn't tell him he's crazy. Instead, he confirms the vision with total certainty. What he saw wasn't a product of grief or madness. He says it was a genuine glimpse of a divine being, the immortal Lord Hanuman. So the big question is, why him? And why then? Well, Guru Deva explains that at that exact moment, Hanudas's mind was absolutely blank. All the noise from his old life, the ambition, the stress, the constant thinking, it was all wiped clean by his grief. And this profound emptiness, this silence, it created a moment of purity, which allowed his true self, his soul, to finally see what the busy, logical mind never could. And this is where Guru Deva introduces this really foundational idea. He tells Hanudas, essentially, that the fragile, suffering person he thinks he is, that's not the real him. That's just the mind. His real self is something much deeper, the soul, which has this powerful connection to the immortal. And this comparison here really illustrates the two forces that are pulling at him. On one side, you've got the mind, which is described as a weak slave to Maya, the illusion of the material world. But on the other side, you have the soul, which once it's awakened is guided by a higher power, Lord Hanuman in this case, to find its true purpose. You can imagine this explanation changes absolutely everything for Hanudas. He's not broken, he's been awakened. And with this new way of seeing things, his life becomes a quest for the soul. So he leaves it all behind, his old life, Guru Deva's hermitage, everything. He just wanders for months,
not really looking for answers anymore, but just trying to find some kind of inner peace. And this long, solitary journey eventually leads him to a remote tribe, the Mahtangs, and a brand new puzzle, a set of 7 mysterious symbols he gets from them.
And that brings us right up to the present moment in the story. Hanudas is hiding out in the jungle, watching the Mahtangs, holding what he believes is the final puzzle piece, when his reality is about to be shattered all over again.
All of a sudden, a young woman in the tribe starts screaming and convulsing violently. Now, Hanudas has seen stuff like this before in his travels, things people explain away as black magic or divine possession, and honestly, at first, he's not that interested. But then, for just a split second, he sees it again. Another glimpse of the impossible. 3 shimmering, human-like figures made of pure light appear around the woman, and then they're gone, just like that. His logical mind tries to dismiss it as just a trick of the light. A few minutes later, the seizure is over. The woman gets up, looks around as if she's searching for something, and then she prostrates herself on the ground, bowing to a power that is completely invisible to Hanudas, but is undeniably powerfully present for her. It's only later that he finally figures out what the 7 symbols mean, and the translation just solves everything. The Mahtangs, it turns out, are the disciples of Lord Hanuman, and every 41 years, he appears to them to share his supreme knowledge. Hanudas realizes he stumbled right into the middle of this incredibly sacred event. And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? Hanudas didn't find this deeper reality because he was looking for it. He found it when a terrible tragedy forced his mind into complete silence. It was in that quiet space that he could finally see. Which, leaves us with one last really powerful question. In our own lives, which are filled with so much noise and distraction, what truths might be waiting for us just on the other side of silence? What might you be able to see?